Hey, you guys, it's me, Bonnie, your host of the Grieving Girl podcast. And today we have my brother from another mother, Michael Luongo, with us. Everybody say hey, hey.
Hello.
Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're both
Cheers.
having our coffee. It's like when we used to sit in our tiny living room with our coffees and chat about life.
Ah,
The good old days, you know?
yeah,
We grieve those days as well.
we do. Simpler times.
The simpler times, our younger years, how different life trajectories were.
Fully, the world was completely different.
So different.
I'm
Pretty,
thankful we had that time.
yeah, 100%. Um, so Michael, you've gotten the big honor of doing the wrap up episode for the season. And honestly, there was no better person for the job because I'm like, who actually does like really listen to this podcast?
Yeah,
Who
long time
is
listener, first time caller.
Yeah, I'm like, who is my number one podcast fan? And it is probably you. I'm gonna give you the award for best listener.
Thank you.
Um, and I just felt like you would have good feedback or like things that you heard throughout the season that you were like, you know what, I really like related to was blank or whatever. So really, I'm happy that it's you here with me wrapping up the season. And I can't believe that I get to say I'm like wrapping up a fourth season.
I know.
I feel like it's annoying that I've been grieving for four seasons. I've been grieving for 4 million decades, but um that it's also like been a thing I've been doing. And it's a passion project, but it also is like one that I keep going back to. Like I could stop at any time and I keep doing it. So, um yeah, 4 seasons is crazy. It's like the music group.
It is, because you're a busy woman and you do a lot, but the fact that you even like when you're doing shows and your schedule's insane, like you carve out time to do this, like it's good for you, but it's what you said. It's a passion project, but it's also more than that. And I feel like you are a personality and a person who like you facilitate conversation really well. And especially like this is really just you. Like you're not a mental health expert. You're not a whatever. You're just someone coming from your experience. But like over the course of 4 seasons, look at all the people you've talked to and the community that you're building. And like clearly it's important for people and it's important for you. I mean, I since you've made the podcast, whenever somebody has had a loss and they are grieving, I recommend the podcast to you as just to like, hey, maybe you're not going to be ready to listen to this right now, but down the line, like if you want a resource, um, give it a listen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're actually not the first person who said that. A few people have told me that they've like recommended it, which like was the point. Because like when I go back to like the why did I start the podcast, besides like literally the day my mom died, I was like, I need to write a book. Like I've had this like gut instinct of like you got to share this story, which like maybe one day, not now, but maybe one day. Um, but it was like I didn't know where to go or what to do. Because it's like I have to do what? I have to plan a funeral. I have to do what's an estate. I don't even know what an estate is. Like what are the requirements of me? Like I don't and I was like, maybe there's a podcast on it. And then like it was just a bunch of old ladies. I mean, I think it's actually changed a lot now in the last 4 years. Like there's the Good Morning podcast and there's like definitely more like younger voices talking about grief, thank God. But when I looked at 2021, it was like one middle-aged lady talking about her widowhood, which is like very valid. It just like wasn't for me.
Right, it
Um,
wasn't your experience, and that's the thing is, it's like in talk, like most of all the people you talk to are like 20s to 30s,
yeah,
you know, in that range.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's not something that's really talked about in
yeah,
general, but especially with younger people.
yeah. Absolutely for the millennial chat, if you will. Um, so we had a phone consult the other day about like what are we gonna talk about, and I liked the thought of like, what is a funeral? Because I have recently put that video online of like, can you bury cremations, ashes,
Yeah.
cremations, like above, like caskets, like XYZ? And like, so many people were chiming in of like, well, you couldn't mine, well, you can't at mine, et cetera, et cetera. And you kind of had brought that up. And I just wondered, like, what that looks like for you. Like what are your thoughts?
I truly have no idea. I mean, a long time ago, my mom lost her mom when she was 32 as well.
Right. She had
Um,
told that.
Total surprise, just like out of the blue. So, in my mom's grief as like a 32-year-old with like two children, I was 5, my brother was 9. They bought a bunch of plots. So technically, there is a place for me somewhere. Would I want to be there? I don't think so. It's down in Cape May. Like, I don't really have an attachment to this area, but it was where my mom, my grandmother is buried, my great grandmother is buried. And when my uncle passed away tragically, only in his 40s, like, I can't even remember how many years ago that was, but not that many. His ashes were buried on top of his mother and grandmother. So I know my mom still has those plots, and I know like, I actually don't know like what my mom's plans are, because like the plans she laid out when she was 32 are not the plans that 30
Right.
some years later. um so in terms of like what do I want, I don't know. I don't like the idea of being pumped full of chemicals and like put in a thing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't made the plans yet.
Write it down.
Oh,
What are the
absolutely. I
plans?
mean,
I don't
your
know,
learning
period.
your learning curve of what you've had to do. Like my mom has said from watching your content, like my mom, who is someone who has all her ducks in a row, she's gotten them even more in a row. Like she's learned a lot from you, because it is one of those things like how there I don't think everyone in their life becomes an executor of an estate,
Right.
or so like there's all of that like is definitely on like my to-do list,
Mhm.
that that Joey and I do we have to do.
Yeah.
um
It's like crazy. My mom, like you said, like your mom is always somebody who does have her ducks in a row. My mom always had her ducks in a row. She lived in the state of like, well, just in case, well, just in case. This woman, if you're listening to me, this woman had was a widow at 46 and had two teenage girls and never got a will done. And I don't know, maybe she like somewhere secretly had a letter when we were little somewhere just in case. But I'm like, wait, so we ended up we were like we knew that she was working on the will, right? Cuz she like was gearing up to have bigger things done. So we knew from talking to her that like she was like doing it. But when she died, we were like, well, where is it? Where is it? Like searching the house, like under things, in things, which was like a whole different traumatic experience because I'm like, we're moving her stuff. I don't want you to touch any of her stuff. And we're like going through her stuff, ripping her house apart, which I was like, I would like to keep it just as it was. Um, it was in her work bag,
okay.
unsigned, because she was working on it, and she
Right.
had like just gone back to the office like post covid. They had just made everybody come back, so I think like the intention was to like have two witnesses in the office sign it, and she probably was just like getting inundated with work and never got it signed, and it was in her little work bag. So then like it didn't matter, it was like null and void, and we had to jump through all those hoops. But anything in the will was like pretty straightforward anyway, that we would have done regardless. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
actually
like,
don't.
currently, like in my house, like I have a sealed letter from my mom that she gave me like kind of recently, like within the last year, I think, that
Uh-huh.
was like, this is to be opened upon my passing. um
Okay. Oh my
but
god, and
I but I
you're
know
not
like,
gonna open it?
no, I'm
I'd
not
be like,
gonna.
what does it say?
No, it's like it's literally like hidden in my house, and I honestly forget about it, and then sometimes I'll look at the book that it's hidden in, and I'll go like, oh yeah. But it is really important, and it's something that I think, like, like, let's just have a little context for my life. I got engaged 6 years ago. I'm still not married. We have things to do. But this earlier in the summer, I was on vacation and I ran into friends of my mom's, and my mom's friend, and like, this is a woman in her later 60s, 70s. She was like, you got to get it done. You got to get that done, and you got to get this insurance done. And it's like totally true. But the thing is that, like, when you become an adult, you're not given a book. You're not,
Right.
like, these are things, like, I feel like we should be taught, like, all the not all the shit that we learned growing up that literally has had no use, where it's like these, like, really practical life things. Like, no one hands you a book of, like, so when you become an adult, and like, maybe when you start to have, like, be gain assets or whatever, like, this is what you should do. So a lot of the times, like, unless you have a family member or a friend who can advise you, you're like totally lost. And like, at least nowadays, like, I guess you can Google and like chat GPT of like what to do. There are resources out there, but I still feel like even though there's so many resources out there, it probably can be overwhelming for people to go like, okay, so, like, but what do I do and how do I do it?
Honestly, the use of ChatGPT is genius. You just had a great thought. If I could have 3.5 or 4 years ago been like, I am now the executor of an estate to someone who does not have a will, what do I do first? And it could tell me, fucking say less. Wow, great thought, Michael. Honestly, I can't wait to get on ChatGPT after this and see what it says and see if it's right.
But yeah, the
Um,
moral of the story is definitely have a will and definitely have it signed. I mean, my uncle, my mom's brother, he has several children. He is a man of means. And
yeah,
my mom has been pleading with him for years. And he's also a man who has undergone, like, triple or quadruple bypass surgery, and he's getting older, and my mom has pleaded with him for years, like, please get your affairs in order, like, please, because she is going to be the executor. And she's like, I don't want, like, what you don't want for me when you go is that I am like the person among, like, the potential war between all of your children and the whatever over your things. So just like,
right.
actually, like, my last, like, update from my mom about that was like, he actually, after years of her begging, of her saying, hey, I'm coming down today, we're going to go to the lawyer. And I don't know, like, what his, maybe some people feel like if they, it's like the fear of death, or it's like it makes it too real or
I think that's
whatever.
what it
And
is.
yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think when you have kids and you have like, you know what I mean, like, I'm sure in retrospect, like, that one signature would have made things a lot easier for you. But it's like you said, your mom was in the process of doing it, and
Right,
no one plans that, like, well, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, you
right,
know.
right. 100%. Um, yeah, it's really at the end of the day, it's like it will make it easier on the people that are left behind if you just do that. Right? Like, just know everyone's going to be really sad when you're gone and having to be really sad. And then also, like, make visits to the municipal building in your county is not something they want to do when they'd rather be like eating cookies with a bottle of wine and a box of tissues. Like, that's just make it easier on your people.
Totally.
Um, yeah. Uh, what else were we talking about on the phone the other day? Oh, the homework I was going to give you, but here we both are weird enough that we already had watched it. The Mortician on HBO Max. Speaking
Wow.
of what is a funeral. So, for anybody listening who hasn't watched it, spoiler alert, this family, huge family out in
California.
Calabasas, yeah, where the Kardashians live. Huge funeral home for like generations in their family, and they ended up passing the crematorium off to like one of the kids because cremation wasn't really that big yet, but it was like starting to grow as like a means of burial. So they were like, he can handle that, probably because it was like, man, nobody's gonna get it done. And here grows this business astronomically in a short period of time by just basically commingling bodies in the crematorium, crem, yeah, crematorium, um, and sees nothing wrong with it.
Right. And it wasn't also just him. Like, the thing is, like,
Right.
what's a shame is, like, this family business started out as, like, very legit and, like, the most reputable. Like, that's the place in that area of California. Like, you must have them take care of your loved one. But then it got passed down to a generation where, like, embezzling money and also, like, pulling out like, people's teeth, and also, like, getting people to sign misleading paperwork where they were getting money from giving your loved ones organs and other things to science without your consent. Like, it was
Literally.
shady all around, and like shady in that like umbrella we love to see of like, oh, but they're just like the good old fashioned Christian family who, what a sweet old lady. But it's like, no, they're actually like super corrupt and um deplorable.
Right. She just wanted to guide families. Here,
No.
while she's harvested your dead grandpa's eyeballs and given them away for money
Yeah,
without without
it's
consent.
a really great doc series if you love true crime. It's only 3 parts, so I think the whole thing is only a few hours. It's really bingeable. I hope we get a season 2, because especially how the way it ends, you're just like,
Yes.
woof.
Yeah, to the point that the producer's like, "Don't tell me anymore. Please don't tell me anymore because I don't want this information."
It was
But
creepy. It was creepy. Like, there were times, and like, you know me, like, I'm a huge horror movie person, and I was like, this is more disturbing and scarier than like a lot of movies I've seen.
yeah, and I like, of course, because I'm the true Gemini in me. Is like, let me see all sides of the story. Let me play devil's advocate for like a true devil. Let me see like what would have made this man think this way. And my thought was, could be possibly. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know, but this kid grew up in the funeral home. Like you grow up being 3 years old and being like, oh, there's that body. Look at my grandpa pulling
So
out his
he was
eyeballs. Like,
desensitized to it at a young age.
right. It's like knowing that Mickey's not real before you get to Disney World. I don't know. So like I don't know. I'm like this. It's Veda Sultanfuss from My Girl. She's like just chilling with the dead body, getting the makeup done in the movie. But I'm like, so
Yeah.
this kid has like grew up with death, right? And almost learned from a young age of like, it's just a body. There's nobody in there. Don't be scared, right? So he's like growing up hearing this probably, and that's kind of like what he reiterates in his confessionals of like, it's just a body, like, so who cares? Right? Like it's very just like turned off to it, which like I would love for a psychologist to like do like a YouTube or something on it. Um but there was a thought that I had of like he's like not wrong, but like also who gave you permission? Who said that was okay for you to make these choices for the family? Why do you
Right.
think it's I mean,
It's
you knew you were doing something
for
wrong, you were
you,
lying to everybody.
not okay. It also just like speaks of like, and they talk about this in the documentary of like, they tap into it a little bit, and I haven't deep dived into it, so I'm just speaking out of what I saw, but like, about how like the funeral industry was created, and how like back in the, you know what I mean, like back in the day you just like go bury people, but
Right.
then it became this industry, and because we live in a capitalistic society, it's like, here's another industry where like, let's try, and it's why it's like the cost of a funeral is astronomical.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess like that's why like I said to you like, let's like rethink of like what does a funeral need or have to be, because I don't think it's been something people really think of, because I don't think you really think of it until it's like the moment you're dealing with it,
Yes.
unless you're somebody who like really like is like, this is what I want, and this is the music, and these are the colors, and like that, like, that's different. And like, a celebration of life I think is different than a funeral, but like, it's crazy what you have to shell out
Right.
when your loved one has passed,
Mm,
and especially at a time when you're just starting your grief. And I feel like with grief comes a lot of guilt. And that's when people are like, well, no, we're going to splurge for like the nicer casket or the this or that. Cause it's like, we have to give them the best because they were the best and they deserve that.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know.
Literally.
The question is like, is, I mean, the funerals are for the living, but I don't know.
No, it's so true. Also, like, I'm sure we would have pulled it off. But if my mom had not had life insurance, do you think I had 40,000 plus dollars to bury my mother out of nowhere at 32 years old? What? Like, we would have figured it out, and like, we have family and we have very supportive people in our lives. Like, she would have had the funeral she deserved, but also, like, that's crazy. And thank God she had life insurance for us to be able to, like, do all these things. But also, like, and it honestly, check comes pretty quick. I was impressed. I was like, wow, that was today. Um, and maybe that's because people do utilize it for like burial costs, but even like then like that night people are calling you with like, okay, it's gonna be this much, it's gonna be this much. You're like, I'm so sorry, what is happening? I am not in my right mind. I'm in
Right.
a
Like,
state of shock and trauma, which is like, honestly, you're more impaired in a state of shock and trauma than you are drunk driving.
right.
And you're asking me questions about money and my dead mom. What's
Right.
going
Like,
on?
we just put my mom in the ground and you're asking me to like sign the bill. Like,
Oh, that was crazy. I don't even know what that paperwork actually was for. The fact that anyone was asking me to sign jack shit.
yeah. I mean, I
Okay,
get
well,
it.
let's.
Business is business, but we were talking about this the other day of how, like, just because you're in the funeral business, it's like the same thing as a doctor. Some doctors have good bedside manner, just like anybody. But just because you're in an industry, it doesn't mean you're the most like compassionate, empathetic person.
Right.
So, but it is that kind of thing of like, you're in this industry. I feel like the pamphlet when you got this job should have said like, so what you don't do is like when the immediate family is still graveside, you don't ask them for like their credit card. You can
Like,
get it like the next day. Give them like 2 to 3 business days. Like, you're gonna get your money, but like, think about what you're asking and the moment you're asking it in.
the thing is, Michael, like, so for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, basically, when we were at the cemetery with my mom, it was like they were lowering her body physically into the floor. And I hear, Bonnie, Bonnie. Does anyone know where Bonnie is? Bonnie, Bonnie. It's the lady from Locust Wood Memorial Cemetery slash Park in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, located on Route 70, the early retirement center, looking for me for a signature, and I'm still standing by a casket. And honestly, maybe I didn't want to leave for another hour. Maybe I would have told my sister, like, you guys go to the restaurant. I'm not leaving yet. We don't know how this movie's gonna end. But what I do know is mine fucking ended with this crazy lady with a pen and paper asking me to sign some shit. And I'm holding Jake's hand and Mason's hand. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so sorry. This is so inappropriate. Uh, and you know what? I'm leaving it a 0 out of 5 star review because my mom still lays next to a giant mound of dirt in that cemetery right now. It's a mess. But honestly, Michael, everything was paid for. That was actually the easiest part of the burial because my mom had already paid for the plots in full. So we just had to say, hey, can you open it? So I'm like, whoa, is that for us to quotes close it? Call me in 48 hours and say, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but you're gonna have to like swing by so I can have you sign this paper.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I'm only guessing here, but kind of what you were saying about the guy from the doc, the mortician, maybe funeral people, there's a part of them where like, because that's the thing, it's like, it's just work for them. Like, I'm
Right.
I'm not trying to say people don't do their job with integrity or compassion or whatever, but when your livelihood is funerals, you have to get a little desensitized to it.
Absolutely.
So
But
that's
also
why, like,
like,
she probably wasn't even thinking. But, that's the whole, a lot. I think when you're dealing with grief, one thing that's been kind of a through line through this entire podcast is like the crazy out of pocket things people have said over the years, immediately and even still now. And it is that thing of like, I don't know if it's just because like death makes people uncomfortable or what, but it and there's never really there's never a right thing to say, right? There's never a good thing to say. Like somebody I did a show with, her mother passed away very recently, and I did 43 revisions of like my text to her
Yeah.
because it's like, but also I recognize that like my words might comfort, but my words aren't going to do anything.
Right.
So that's why, like, so sorry for your loss is probably still the thing that, like, majority of the people say. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I get it. It's your job, and I am sure that they are desensitized, but I'm like, but like, it's showtime, right? Like, you
It's
could
show.
be on backstage, I'm sobbing, curtain goes up, I'm not sobbing. You know why? Because it's my job. So you could be desensitized up until you walk up to somebody who is literally like, it's showtime, you're a graveyard, and someone's going into the yard. And
Well,
you
and
don't
it's
ask
different.
people to sign papers, then it's showtime.
Right. It's different if, like, clearly, like, the burial is over, the immediate family is leaving. It's different if somebody, like, before you're getting in your car is like, hey, Bonnie, like, we have some paperwork for you to sign, so we're going to send it to you, or like whatever. But it was
Right.
the fact that she was like yelling and like,
Right.
I,
Searching the crowd.
right. And like, I, I, like, maybe there was somebody at that moment who like could have been like, hey, like Bonnie's right there, but like they're clear, like they're having a private family moment. So like,
It
you know,
was crazy.
just like, can you wait 10 minutes?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's those moments where I had said to you, like, there was a second or two. Honestly, I have contemplated it a few times in my life, not just after my mom, where I was like, maybe I should be a funeral director. But at the same time, like, I'm just too emotional. I'll cry over anybody's family and people being sad. So, like, it's not for me. But, you know,
No,
not
you're a well organized person. You're somebody who can, you know, get people together to make something happen. But it's probably why like more people like you need to like go into things like that.
right.
But you know, like I was telling you the story, and my grandparents and great grandparents are buried in the same cemetery as well. But when my grandmother passed away, like I told you, she was buried in a mausoleum, so we were inside, and it was like whatever, I don't know because I'm not religious, but whatever like the last thing being said by the priest at the actual site.
Hmm.
And the funeral people were hacking apart in the mausoleum like the flowers from that were at the church, so that way everyone could put like a flower on their grave. But like it wasn't like this was like somebody just like pulling them out of like it
Right.
wasn't that. It was literally like noisy and messy, and I had to literally like put out my hand and be like, you need to stop, like stop, this is not the moment to do this. And that's one of those things of like this is what you do, and I can't imagine, like, you know what I mean. It was just
Right.
so wild and out of pocket and like inappropriate. So that's why it's like, you know, people go into fields, it doesn't mean you're an expert in compassion, and you know, and uh yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, should I do that? No, I couldn't. I could never do it. I'll be like it's like a day of coordinator. I'll be the day of coordinator for a family. But I have to say, 5 out of 5 stars for the Shutters. They buried both of my parents, and they did a great job. So Shutter Funeral Home, shout out to you.
Yes. And
All
because
the all the young dudes running that show over there. They're good guys.
yeah, and I'm
Um,
sure that like cemeteries, like that's like that. I just wonder, like, are cemeteries dying? Like, I don't know. I don't really talk to a lot of people my age about like what are your plans.
sure.
Um, and I feel like burial, at least in the way I grew up, burial was like 99% of the time that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I grew up. That's what you do. But like I don't know. I don't need to take up place on this earth. I don't need a stone that, you know, I don't know. That's just me of like I don't need that, cuz the other thing is like with the grief comes the guilt, right?
Yeah.
And I know you, I mean, you were dealing with this summer of like before you went to vacation of like the stress of I need to physically get to the cemetery because
Hmm.
if I don't, I'll feel guilty. And like I can recall, my mom lost her mom at 32 as well, but the cemetery was down in Cape May, which is like, it's not,
Or
it like, I don't know, how far is Cape May from Voorhees? Like,
an hour and a half.
yeah. So it's not the kind of thing. I can remember times when I was little and it would be like, I want to drive down. And obviously, that happened a lot more in the years after. And luckily, like a lot of my mom's brother still lived in Cape May. So, like, he would be the one where, like, oh, it's the holidays. Like, I'm putting the grave blanket down. And he still, every year, like, still does that. But I know
Yeah.
that my mom experienced a lot of the guilt of, like, not going to the physical place.
Yeah.
And everyone has their journey with that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that my mom would be like, "I'm not there." Like we talked about, like I didn't like to go like before she was there. Like I really wouldn't go. I would go with her if she wanted to like go for my dad. But like and we went more, in the years after, but like we kind of teetered off from that. I don't know if she would go once in a while by herself. Like I actually don't know, but like I was almost like anti-cemetery, but now that she's there it feels different.
See, I
Um,
think like going back to like what my mom is gonna do, I don't know, but I know over the past couple years, like she said that same thing of like, do I want to be in Cape May? Because like
right,
like I now live in Connecticut.
right.
Um, but how I personally feel about like the places, it's like I haven't been to my grandmother's grave since she passed, but
Yeah.
like I have her piano right here.
Right.
I
Like
have
that's
her
more
portrait on her piano. Like, this is where Aussie is.
right.
So, like, when I want to feel connected, or even times where I will, like, talk to,
Yeah.
like, are people I feel are around us. So it's like, I get, like, the ground, like, that place is a grounding place.
Yeah.
But it's what you said. Like, yes, Nancy is there, but Nancy is everywhere.
Yeah. She would be like, "Don't worry about it, just go." But,
Literally that.
yeah, like literally like, "Oh, please, they're gonna send so much traffic." But it is, it's like, well, what am I not gonna go? Like, come on.
Right.
Um, yeah, sometimes I wish she would have been cremated so we could have like had a little bit of her here and a little bit of her in North Jersey, and like that would have been that. But alas. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna have people do. So uh because I don't have a will. I still need to get that done.
Yeah, like especially now that we bought a house, like we have to get married. We have to get
Yeah, can
like
we get friggin' married? Come on, man. I'm waiting
li-
patiently for my first gay wedding. I still
well,
haven't been to
listen.
one.
Here, like the truth of the matter is, we've been engaged for 6 years. Let's rewind. We got engaged in late 2019, and then the world stopped,
Right,
and so much happened,
right.
and like if we want to parlay into like grief of friendships and that sort of thing, like yes, we absolutely have to do all these things, and especially now that the Supreme Court has been formally asked to overturn,
Right.
yeah, we absolutely have to. Um, and we will. I don't know if we're gonna have a wedding. We will get married, but
Can I at least
um,
come to dinner?
yeah, I mean the thing about it is like what's weird is like I'll go back into my notes app and I'll see over the years like, oh, in 2019, and
Sure.
like, just for context, in 2019, I was surprise proposed to by my partner of almost 10 years while I was on a national tour. And I then had to finish that tour, which I was on the road for 10 months. I got home. We moved into our first place that was just ours. Like, there was no immediate rush. Like, we weren't going to get married within the year. And then COVID happened.
Right.
And, a lot has happened since. And, we're like, it took us 10 years to get engaged. Like, we bought the house before we got married. Like, we're doing things on our own timeline, and like we're also running a business that takes up a lot of our bandwidth, but yeah, it's on the to-do list and you will be
Well,
there.
it's the same thing as what we were saying of like, what's a funeral? It's like, what's a wedding? And there's like, at this point, especially post 2020, no one cares. You want to have a big wedding? Have your big wedding. You want to have a courthouse wedding? Have your courthouse wedding. You want to do it just you two and never acknowledge it again? Great. Like, whatever. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
you know, when we're talking about wills and life insurance and this and that and like, who's going to be allowed to have your XYZ, especially as a gay couple, you know, protect yourself as much as you can.
Oh, 1,000%. And like that's like it. I mean, that does make me a little angry that it's like I can remember
Right.
when Trump was reelected, the immediate thing of like, we probably need to go do this now, and kind of like the anger of like, that's so annoying because straight people never have to feel like,
Right.
oh, well, let's go get this done because like this right might be taken away from us.
Right, like
Uh,
forcing your hand to do something you weren't really ready to do yet.
but I also think for Joey and I, we've been together 16 years. We've
Yeah.
lived together for 15 of those 16 years. So I've we we are married. Like, yes,
Right.
we are going to have it done legally because we deserve the protections and rights that other people do. And we will get it done. And like there are some specific circumstances around my family, which is like why we haven't just done like, oh, going to the courthouse and then after we're gonna go have dinner or with my immediate family, because like my parents have been divorced for a long time. They don't speak. My brother doesn't speak to my father.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like other issues. But going back to like the other thing I think about a wedding is your friends, like it's your friends, it's a party. And you're in a wedding party now where it's like when you get married, it's like you pick your wedding party and your closest friends are around you and they plan the bachelorette party and the bachelor party and they do all that. And like for me, especially since COVID, friendships have really gone away.
Mm,
And there are people who, like, I can think of who the wedding party was in 2019,
right.
and you are one of a few people that still would be there. So
Yeah.
that makes me sad and bummed too. And I've had a lot of like sadness and anger about that, about like feeling like there are friends who have completely just like not
Disappeared.
ghosted, but they're not in my life anymore. So it's that thing too of like, in another timeline of our lives, we would have been married already. We
Right.
probably would have had a wedding, and those people who I thought were my people, they would have been, you know.
Yeah.
But I've definitely been grieving friendships and like past lives.
Yeah.
You talked about this on the podcast this season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I do. I feel like all of us have in so many different ways, but the collective trauma of COVID is so fucking real. And like, because it happened to all of us, like, nobody actually acknowledges it. But I'm like, there's pre COVID and there's post COVID.
Yeah.
Period. End story. Hard stop. All of our lives changed for 2 years. Whether that was simply that you worked from home for 2 years, I just doubt that it was that simple for anybody. Right? Like, people died in that time. People had kids in that time. People moved in that time. People did all sorts of things, but like, yet none of us were connected. We were hyper connected and also not connected at the same time. It's like the craziest shit.
Well, that's the
But
thing.
I'm like,
It's
I
like,
always say, I don't think I would be in Philadelphia. I think I came down here being like, I have two shows, so I know I'm booked for 6 months. I'll live with Brooke. We'll see how it goes. I'll try an audition season. If it's easy enough, I'll stay. And if it's a pain in my ass, I'll go back. Well, it was a pain in the ass. And then COVID happened in March. Like, it was like that simple. Like, I was actively doing that audition season and COVID happened, hard stop. And I was like, stuck. And then I was here, and then my mom died. And like, here I am still. Um, because now I just feel like I'm having to live my life in increments of time to try and like get through whatever this whole thing is, weirdly enough. But I don't think I would be here. I think I would have gone back to New York. And then it's like, okay, so what would my career look like? Because like I was on a freaking roll. I was on a roll, and like I'm still very lucky that I have a place that hires me and loves me, and I go to work, I do my job, and I do it well. How lucky am I? But also like maybe I could have been on Broadway by now. I don't know because that was stolen. And
Yeah,
it's like even with friendships, it's like okay, well I probably would maybe still have some of the friends that I don't really have anymore in my life more um frequently because like I would have still been up there. Like absolutely. There is absolutely a pre and post COVID for all of us.
1,000%. I mean, when I look at what my life has been the last 5 years, it's been, I feel like actually, like, as of recently, I feel like I'm a little bit on the other side of it where I'm not so much actively grieving like what my old life was or the person I used to be because I don't think it's that productive. And I've been allowing myself to like process this naturally, but it's like, uh, like I now live in Connecticut. I never planned to live in Connecticut. I don't have family in Connecticut. I never planned to leave the industry. And especially as somebody who like I've always been like Michael the theater
The
person,
theater
like
kid.
that has been a part of my identity since I was in single digits, and it was
Yeah.
like that was how I identified myself. So that has been a thing I've been dealing with the past couple years because it's like you said, like in 2019, I was on the top of the world. My both Joey and I were on a very high in life. Joey had this incredible position in New York that was a game changer for us. I was on a national tour of my dream show, covering and performing my dream role. Joey surprised me. The engagement was epic. It was everything. You know, there are a few cast members of mine who they said to me because we got engaged in April, tour ended in June, and we were out on the road since September. They were like, "Your engagement got me through the end of tour." Like just that
Aw.
buoy of happiness because Joey proposed to me in front of my entire cast.
Right.
That's why like the proposal was so epic, and when I look back on those videos and those pictures, it's kind of like I don't need a wedding because like that
Right.
moment was everything. And like luckily like my mom and Heidi were there, and then the next day or the day after, like my dad drove out to Ohio to like not only see me go on but also to be there like in the immediate after time of that thing. um but I definitely grieved that life a lot. You know, we had just moved into our own place. Like it felt like it was like really like, and then there was momentum. It was like I got
Right.
back to New York and I
Right.
being called in for things I never was called in before. And I felt like I was really
It was
making, and then boom.
yeah.
And during the pandemic, it felt like I have to get back. Cause like also just for context for people, Joey and I left New York immediately. Like as soon as it was, I worked in a gym, and when it was like this was before the city shut down, but it was like, should I go to my shift tomorrow in a gym? Like that's where like germs and people. We got out of the city immediately, thinking it was 3 weeks. It ended up being that we were home. I went home to my mom's, and we were there for like over a year and a half. And like I had only spent maybe a week at home since I left home at 18.
Right.
So that was another thing of like there were a lot of ghosts from my past and like things I had to deal with in being home that like in a way I think was good, and some of them like were things that I dealt with that I think are better, but it also like I fell into a major depression. I I feel like in a lot of ways like I kind of lost my mind, and it was like I had to get my mind back. I'm still on a journey of getting my body back. And accepting like this new also late 30s version of myself.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I mean, I think about it a lot, but I don't really mourn being in the industry anymore, which is very weird for me just because performing was my whole life. I mean, you and I met because we worked at a theater camp, you
Right.
know. together. And it's very kind of odd for me to feel so disconnected to it in
Right.
a way. And I don't think that's like my brain trying to protect myself. I think it is just a thing of like a lot's happened in the last 5 years, and I think a lot of people reprioritized things. And like, my story is not unique. There are a lot of people who were performers that COVID kind of, and I did go back to it. So I, my thing, it took me, I think, almost 3 years to like do my first gig. And when I got back to it, like I felt good.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Connecticut, and luckily there's a lot of regional theater in Connecticut, and I have friends who look out for me. So Bonnie texted me saying, "There's an EPA in the town you just moved to." And thank God you told me, because I would have eventually figured out this theater was near me, but I probably would have missed the auditions, and I got it. And that's how I took my equity card from that, and I did Rocky Horror, and it was a dream.
So
And then
basically, I'm your manager.
and I yours.
Yeah, truly.
And then I did a production of Jersey Boys where I had kind of one foot in the industry and one foot out. And I don't know. It's why sometimes I think maybe I need to do another. I, I don't know. I struggle with this because I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. It's fulfilling, it's creative, it is lucrative,
Right.
and it's not the like soul suck that the industry can be. And I think like for me too, it's like I don't know. In another timeline, you and I could still be living in New York, and we could still be pounding the pavement. But there's also, I think what happened is like there's more to life than that.
Right.
And I think it'd be different if I was like super successful or that sort of thing. But the thing that I learned working with actors who are older than I, who have dozens of Broadway credits, the struggle is still real for everyone.
Right.
And and I think I was always so laser focused on performing that it's like in my 20s, I, as you and I know, like you and I were like the preeminent babysitters of Manhattan. Like I always had a side thing, but it was not a side career. It was a survival gig until the next gig. And luckily, like you and I both worked a lot.
Mhm.
So I wasn't able to foster like any other roads because you have to be so tunnel vision in
Right.
order to pound the pavement. But I thank my lucky stars every day that like an opportunity opened itself up and I jumped on it, and it's flourished, and hopefully it continues to flourish. But Joey and I wouldn't have a house if him and I hadn't jumped on a new road, as our friend Tara Tag, and she loves The Wizard of Oz, loves to say, like a new yellow brick road opened, and like it opened and I followed it, and like maybe I'm going to do this for 15, 20 years. And then when people finally believe that I'm a grown up, I can be like the character man I was always meant to be. Um,
Yeah.
but
Like
I,
you always say, theater will always be there. Like it
it,
will always be there, and you will always be the theater kid. And like when it feels right, it'll feel right. And like there's it honestly is such a nice thing. Like theater, you can hop in and back in at any time
yeah,
because the
yes,
play
and
has many characters.
totally. I think for me, it's like starting work at 8 o'clock at night. I'm kind of like, yeah, no, that's a hard pass. Like when you're in that life, and like you have this in yours because like kind of like half of the year you're on a show schedule and half the year you're not. But
Yeah.
like for me, like doing a 4 week run of a show, it's almost like, is it worth it how off my routine I get? Because starting your show at 8, getting done at 11, getting home and not going to bed until 2 a.m. because you have to wind down. It's like
Yeah.
you're in that and that's your normal. It's your normal. But now that I've been out of it, it's so anti what like most people's lives are.
Right. You're like, this
So
is
that's why
crazy,
like
guys.
a 7 p.m. start, or if I could do a run that was only matinees, honestly, that's the gig for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, the 7 p.m. showtime start does make a huge difference. I gotta say, the Walnut has steered away from the 8 o'clocks, except for Friday nights and Saturday nights, and the 7:30, even the 7:30 is like a nice change of pace.
Yes.
It really does make such a difference, especially with a 3 hour musical. But I mean, yeah, the people at the gym are always just like, "So what time you're going to bed? And you're here at 7:45 in the morning? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm not okay," which is now I am on night times because I was just like, I tried it. It's not sustainable for me. Um, but yeah, I do feel the same, like just the knocking the momentum of COVID. The COVID just like really screwed a lot of us over in many ways. But it happened to all of us, so none of us really talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean specifically, like we're talking to a niche right now of like, you know what I mean? Like I was during COVID, I was in a house with two teachers who were still teaching remotely.
Right.
Joey was still working remotely. The industry closed and I had nothing. There was like
Oh,
there wasn't the admin, like I wasn't
right.
looking up on, so that's why it was very easy for me to slip into a depression where I was literally like in, except for eating meals, I was in bed for like a few months,
Yeah.
literally watching every episode there was of Project Runway, and there were a lot. And just side note about like trauma. So here I am slipping into the depths of depression. I'm watching Project Runway. Project Runway is produced by the same production company that produced Finding Neverland on Broadway. So I'm just watching Project Runway for escapism. And then there's the Finding Neverland challenge, where for cross promotional purposes, where the
Uh,
designers go see Finding Neverland and then they have to do and it like fucking wrecked me. It
yeah.
destroyed me because it was a reminder of this incredible thing that like was no longer. And then maybe 2, 3 seasons later, the Broadway challenge is what show? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What
Oh,
was
which
the
you were like in.
what was the national tour that I literally made it to the very end and was like, yes, like it's happening? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So yeah.
Wait, here's a weird link for you for your Charlie and the Chocolate Factory submissions. I have videos of you because you came to the dance studio.
Right.
That
And
was
that
like
was,
right before my mom died.
and yes, and the thing is like, that was when it was like in for it again. Like
Right.
in the pre-COVID like fall of 2019, I was in callbacks for that for months. So I knew I didn't get it before COVID began, but then when the self taping started and they were putting the tour out again, right, I taped again for it.
Yeah.
And we went to the dance studio so I could do my Josh Burgos mover combination.
Which was a dance call.
It was.
Yeah, it was a dance call. But I have a picture of you or something, and it's like right before my mom died. I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's all great. It's all shit.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like I do feel like I'm on the other side of it. Like even the other day, Joey and I were watching Drag Race, an old season, and with Gottmik on it. Do you remember Gottmik? They would do like the white
Yes.
fate.
Yeah.
So I was saying to Joey, like I was talking about when I did cabaret and I played the MC and like the evolution of my makeup, and I was going back into pictures. So this is like 20. So I was going back through my pictures,
God, you were
and
so thin.
yeah, for a long time, me going back into pictures of my life was super triggering because it
Yeah.
was like a reminder of everything that wasn't. And this literally was like a few days ago. I was going through these pictures, and the next day I said to Joey, like, you know, when I went through those pictures the other day, it was kind of like it wasn't triggering, and in fact, it was like, remember when you did that? Remember that? Like, and like be it was more like, fuck, you were like so fit in your 20s, and like like it was it wasn't a triggering thing. It was more like a happy thing.
And
So
that's on growth.
That's growth. Yeah.
Yeah. To be like, oh, remember that? Instead of like, I fucking can't believe that this is not a part of my life anymore. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So this season is We Listen But We Don't Judge. So we're gonna end this episode with Michael Luongo's We Listen But We Don't Judge, and then I'll share one more weird thing that I do in my grief. Um, do you have anything that you feel that you do, whether it's like even in grieving, like our past NYC life that you do that you're like, that might be a little weird, or with Aussie or with anybody,
I
or
was
things you think about?
I was
Maybe
thinking
you were dead.
about this, like knowing that this was like something in the podcast. Like when it's when it comes to like weird things around grief, like the answer is kind of no, and I can't really think of anything, but also like I'm not or haven't like I'm not in like a grief. I don't I'm not in a stage of grief really. So like I don't
Sure.
really like I'm a total weirdo when I'm home by myself. I'm constantly singing songs and making up raps and like I'll just rant. I mean, Bonnie, you lived with me for a long time. You know that like I will just break out into dance.
I
Um,
do know that if TikTok was alive when we were Harlem private, we would have been viral.
what
Period.
did
Heart
you do?
stop. End of
What did
story.
you book for the summer? Would have gone viral. It
Uh,
would have been a trending audio.
honestly,
Um,
maybe we should bring it back. I'll put it on my TikTok.
Shout out to Sherrod for the originator of what did you book for the summer.
Yeah. LOL. Nothing.
So, I mean, in terms of like weird stuff that I do around grief, no, I can't think of one. Truly, that's not even me. Just like not wanting to share it. It's
Which
I
honestly,
don't.
it's a blessing, right? That your brain hasn't gotten there yet. And one day something will happen and you're going to be like, oh my God,
You know what?
here it is.
This is something I just thought of. Like I don't know. My mind sometimes fully unprovoked. It's just like the places your mind goes. I sometimes like visualize like my mom's funeral
Mm,
and like how will I deal with that? And it's what I was saying to you the other day of like my I hope in life no one ever asks me to do a eulogy just because like I feel like that would be such like a daunting task to do. But like I wonder if that's because of like maybe that's like one of my biggest fears in life. But my mind sometimes does like flash to that. And usually when it does, I kind of quickly like shake that like nope, we're not
right.
going there, we're not doing that. So like that might be weird.
I think it's just existential.
Yeah, because you know what,
Existential.
it's not even just specifically my mom. It's like sometimes I think about like if Joey was gone.
Yeah, I think that's just also just like an acknowledgement that like we're not here forever. Which I think like it's not weird. Anybody who says that's weird can't get in touch with like their center of like if you're like, oh, that's weird, I'm like, okay, well then what are you thinking about while you're here? Like, are you like, I think there's something like it's reminding you of like, oh, well, then I need to like call my mom or I need to like, people I put first are the people that I think about those things because we're not going to be here forever. So I'm sure it's like, it's very deep, it's very emotional, but I don't think it's weird, but I am very weird. So who am I? Who am I to say if it's weird or not?
But
Um,
we don't
we,
judge. And the
we
thing is
listen, but we
that
don't judge.
I think as time goes on for you, there are some things that like I think you will be unburdened by. And actually that
Yeah,
might not even be like the right choice of words, but like an example is like the meat in the fridge.
right.
Like that's a good example of like, and speaking of meat in the fridge, I have 4 packs of pork chops in my freezer for you. It's like the first 2 packs I put in there, they might not even be good anymore. But whenever it's usually when I forget to select my meals on HelloFresh, they will pork
And
chops
the
are
pork
always
chop.
on there. They're not a big thing for me and Joey. I know you're a girl who loves a pork chop.
I love a pork chop.
So
And
I
you know who
just
else?
I've got meat
Nancy
in my
loved a pork chop.
freezer. I've got meat in my freezer for you.
I will replace Nancy's bacon packets with your pork chops. Also, like, don't worry, everyone. When I do move from this place I live now, it will not move with me. Okay, I am ready to get rid of it, but it's gonna be like because I'm moving, not because I'm standing there getting rid of the fridge
But
food.
question for you, like even before your mom passed, are you the type of person like I can't that like holds on to a lot of shit, like or has a lot of like sentimental value and things? Because I'm not like I can purge things. I can be very like desensitized to like stuff,
Yeah.
but
No, I don't really hold on to things, but like my mom's things have like it's
a
a different
thousand
way.
percent. My
Yeah.
mom, she lost her mom at 32 as well. So like I I have an understanding of like when somebody exits your life completely unplanned, not that it's ever, but like you cling to everything of theirs
Yes.
that is still here because that is the physical reminder of them. And it's why like
Yeah.
and the thing is this isn't weird. It's actually universal. Like many of your guests have said like was it is it Natalie with the pillow and the sweat?
Yes.
Right. So like the thing is it's like I actually think a lot of the things that are like we what and we don't judge like if somebody's judging you're an asshole and that you don't have empathy about things and unfortunately we live in a world where there are a
Right.
lot of unempathetic assholes but you know it's like I think until you're in someone's shoes, you can never know. And
Right.
even when you maybe think you have a situation that is like, you know what I mean? It's like all the things people said to you when it was like, yeah, my mom didn't die at 98 of old age.
Right.
Or you know, like this is, and like also the unique situation you're in of having lost your dad when you
Hmm.
were a teenager. And you know what's funny about that? Not funny, but because I met you, I was 18. And it was I probably met you the summer you turned 16 to 17. Because
Yeah.
you're a June birthday. I'm sure that theater camp had already started. Or maybe it
Yeah,
was
I don't
just,
think I started working there until junior going into senior year.
right. So you would have been.
Yeah, I was like 15 or 16. If I was 15, it was the next year.
Right. So I met you only
Post.
like, and what's interesting about that is like, I can remember knowing, like, oh, it was a fact that, like, oh, Bonnie's dad passed away a few years ago. But, like, we never talked about it. It wasn't, it was like a thing that people knew about your life. But, like, I just, I guess I'm just bringing this up of, like, the whole thing of, like, your delayed grief and how, you know, losing your mom now as an adult it kind of triggered the grief of your dad that you lost many years ago now at this point. So it like you were really lucky to kind of get the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Um and
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think that even just you being like, we all knew it, but nobody talked about it. I'm like, because I didn't talk about it because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to talk
well,
about.
right. It was like we were
I think
just
it's
like
that.
it was what you said. It was like it was something that happened, but then like you still had to go to school the next day, and like
Right.
you were a very like we were busy kids. Like we were constantly in activities and things. So it's not unusual that it was like a delayed thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
like this is not similar at all, but it's like, you know, my parents split up when I was 15. So it's like, I don't, it's not something I like bring up to people because it's just a fact of my life that
Right.
happened a time ago.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, if my mom was still alive, like, my grief surrounding my dad wouldn't be like part of my platform. You know, like he's been dead for 20 plus years. I've been on Instagram for the since 2012 since it started and I only really like made posts on his like anniversaries
Right.
and that was it because it very much was just a part of my life. But yeah, with the Nancy came all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
um
like not dissimilar to Mariska Hargitay's documentary.
yes.
My Mom
Yes.
Jane, where it's through all of this that you've, and also let's just remind everyone you were a child at the time, so you
Right.
were privy to the information you were being given, but you were a kid. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're not
Right.
going to be filled in on everything.
No.
So that's why.
I literally just found out in the last like 3 weeks that you can have alcohol induced hepatitis. I knew my dad had hepatitis. The ways that I was told he got it, no one ever said alcohol induced. I'm telling you, like in the last year, I had cobwebs removed from my brain, couldn't tell you why, couldn't tell you what I was thinking about. And I remember me and my sister like yelling at each other, and she said to she was sitting at our kitchen table, I was going up the stairs. It's like so weird. I have not had this memory in a million years ever. I was going upstairs, she was sitting at our kitchen table, and she said to me, he died because he drank too much. And I was like, and I ran upstairs, and like that was that. And like ask me how I don't know why I didn't remember that, why I remembered it out of nowhere, why and like and then I don't remember my entire high school career, but I that little snippet, I'm like, "Oh, so the information was there."
But you were a kid.
14-year-old
You
14-year-old
right,
Bonnie
a
couldn't
14-year-old brain.
or didn't want to, or I don't know. Very interesting. But yeah, that's all crazy. And the Mariska Hargitay documentary did like strike a big chord with me.
That's another one where it's like, so after you watch The Mortician, where you're like, woof, humanity, go
Yeah.
watch My Mom Jane.
Yeah, my
Go
mom Jane.
I cried. It's
Yeah,
really beautiful, and
very well done.
it's definitely and that one's short. It's a film, so it's like it's less than 2 hours. That was one where I was like, this could be longer.
Yeah.
Um, but as I was watching that, I definitely thought of you, of like like going through things, and now as an adult learning new information and just having more of a context around the decision. And it's like, we can't change the past, and it's like your mom dealt with your dad's death in the way she did,
She
and
had to survive.
totally, like, and that's, and it's like you were a kid, so that's why it's
Right.
like, that memory you have of you and your sister. My brother's 4 years older than me too, so like there are entire, because of trauma I've experienced, there are entire parts of my life I don't really remember. And then my brother will say something and it kind of triggers something, or it kind of like, it's almost like things go from blurry to like a little bit more focused,
Yeah.
where I have a little bit more clarity and context for like understanding something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, digging into your past is like a whole other can of worms.
Right.
That's like a whole other, that could be a whole other season of this podcast.
A whole other
And
season.
it's definitely gonna be a part of the book or the books.
Or the books. Or the book. Yeah, I don't know what that looks like yet. We'll see. All right. I'm gonna share my last weird tidbit and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so actually I need to go off camera for 1 second. So
Okay.
my weird thing is that okay, so for anybody who's like experienced a tragic moment, I feel like there's two ways you handle it. You either throw things out or you keep them forever, like we were saying. Well, I have kept the whole outfit I was wearing when my mom died. It's just like it's washed, it's clean, but it's in like the corner of a closet. And then like all of the clothes from the services. Beautiful dress, beautiful jumper, brand new, wore them once.
Yes, that
I'll never
jumper.
yeah, I'll never wear them again. Also, the magical dress that was like 8 sizes too big, but actually fit, or 8 sizes too small, but it fit. Thank you, Nancy. It's in the corner. They're away. Well, right before she died, I had bought brand new Birkenstocks. They were brand new. And I love a Birkenstock. And it was the only thing that I was like, you will continue to wear these fucking shoes because they are brand new and you like them, and we can't just put brand new Birkenstocks in the corner. They're officially dead. I burned holes in the bottom of the Birkenstocks. But when I tell you that getting rid of these does something to my soul, I feel like they're part of the memoir or something. These shoes have walked through grief with me.
Yeah, I'm literally.
Like, walked into the hospital with my mom and then walked out without her. So these ugly, gross, disgusting Birkenstocks, I don't know, they're like an image of grief. But I got new ones and they're shiny.
They
And
are shiny.
they're shiny and new. Um, so maybe that's cool imagery. But also the idiot who worked at Nordstrom Rack put the stickers on the suede. So how do I get the stickers on the suede?
That's what I'm talking about. The world is full of idiots.
You put them on the bottom, you guys. Now I'm like, I gotta use Gooby Gone on my friggin' brand new Birkenstocks. But I feel like we should be proud of me for being like, Bonnie, we gotta get new shoes. And I did it without the help of a friend being like, those are disgusting, throw those away. So,
Growth.
gross. New shoes, new chapter, new season.
And the thing is, like, with growth, it doesn't mean you have to let go of everything. You know, like
Right.
it's like you don't have to let go of everything. Um, and you'll do it in your own time. And it's like, and if you never get rid of things, like, that's okay too. Like,
Right.
there's no, it's not like, there's no negative to these things. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's totally okay.
Yeah. And I was in my own time like, okay, Bonnie. It's fucking time to get rid of your 2021 Birkenstocks. Uh, and I'm proud of myself that I didn't wait for someone to be like, Bonnie, there's no bottom on the bottom of your shoes. You gotta get rid of those, girlfriend. I did it myself, and I'm proud of myself. But we listen and we
And we don't
don't judge.
judge.
So if you've been looking at my Birkenstocks and being like, she needs a new pair, now you know why I don't have one, and don't you feel like an asshole?
I'm sure no one has.
Yeah.
But
You never know. People are judgy as shit. But all right, season 4 is a wrap.
that's a wrap.
Yeah, I don't know when season 5 will be. Maybe we'll do another holiday mini series. I felt like that was useful, helpful.
Like
Um,
like specifically around like grief around the holidays and stuff.
yeah, because I just feel like it's such a hard time for everybody, and also like every
Oh
movie
my.
on like Netflix has a dead parent, someone's dying, orphans. Every movie. I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a fun quotes fun like Christmas movies without grief as the plot line. Like if you're grieving and you don't want to think about your dead people during the holidays, watch this movie instead of that movie. So we'll see what the next season holds, but thanks for being my top listener
You're
and my top
welcome.
friend.
Yeah, I mean, you are my oldest friend that has, and it's why I'm so thankful for you because we literally met as teenagers.
Yeah.
We went to college together. We then moved into New York City and did like our 20s, chasing our dreams, pounding the pavements together. And that's why, like, now you live in Pennsylvania, I live in Connecticut. We only get to see each other a few times a year, but it's why I'm so thankful for you because you're the real deal. And when a lot of people have gone to the wayside who I never thought would, like, it's why, there are times where I wish I had more friends, and especially like we moved to Connecticut where I work from home. I'm not necessarily meeting new people, but whenever I'm like sad that why aren't we doing things with friends tonight, it I also take into consideration, but who are the people that I have, and the few people that I do have, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
And I am very thankful for that.
Yeah, hon.
Like you said,
Some
you're my sister from another mister.
Yeah,
um
that's
and
us.
I'm sure that Nancy is with us right now, and I bet she goes like, "I'm so glad Bonnie had that Michael because Bonnie, when I think about memories of your mom, I like to the one I think of a lot, besides like her moving shit as this tiny woman in New York City, like building IKEA furniture and like doing all that, was the first summer you and I worked at Mount Washington together, where
Uh-huh.
like did you drive up? So like we like rendezvous, like probably rendezvoused where like I got in your car and I can just remember like your mom that day. Um, like our parents probably going like our kids are going to New Hampshire to live with like wait like they're they're going away to like work professionally, but it's like basically it was summer camp. But I'm sure our parents were so thankful, like, but at least they're going up together, like they're gonna be okay because like they have each other.
Literally, my mom always used to say that. Like, she only felt okay with me even being in New York. She's like, I know you're with Michael and Joey, so it's fine. Like, we got each other's backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so funny. Yes, the tiniest woman doing all of the dad duties. That's why on my Love is Blind application, I literally wrote like, I'm gonna need someone to come into my life and railroad my hyper independence because I'm never gonna ask you for help because I grew up without help. Me and my mom did everything by myself. I ain't need no man. So if you want to be the man in my life, I'm gonna need you to just show up and
I
just start doing
always
things.
say that like if there is a man who is supposed to or will come into your life, they have to be the strongest, most incredible. Like, that's the thing. We don't accept like basic bitches and we don't accept mediocrity because you are none of those things. And it's not like I what I hope for you is like you get your Travis Kelsey to like what he's become to like Taylor of like you need a big strong man who can like uplift and understand that like he is the king to your Quan. You know what I mean? Like you are the queen.
Period. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting patiently for any like just like strong dude to just walk in my life and be like, I got this. Those blinds that are still on your kitchen floor, I'm just gonna hang
Right.
for you.
And
I'm not gonna ask
you
you where are the clips.
you need a grown ass man who is a man, not a boy,
Right.
not a man child.
Yeah.
Somebody who can handle all that is you.
Right.
And if not, go fuck them. You know what I mean? Like
Like literally, if not, like I'm good because I've been on my own since I was 14 in that regard, and I think that's part of the issue. When people are like, "Why are you single?" I'm like, I think it's because I've been doing me since 14.
like literally like even teenage Bonnie, you were always like, you know what I mean, like we are products of the Spice Girls. You were always girl power. You were always like, yeah, you didn't, and then like we were busy and then you were pursuing um this career in an industry where you're mostly surrounded by gay men, so it's not like there were like a ton of options, but also like you were focused in doing like you're building your own life, you're building your own empire. Like you weren't a damsel in distress waiting to be rescued by your prince. Like
Right.
you know what I mean, like you're probably going to go, so, and now you're dealing with, so it's what you always say of like, and am I supposed to think about dating now while I'm grieving and handling an estate and building my empire and performing and X, Y, and Z. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if anyone ever walks in. We'll see if anyone's ever like, I'm just gonna follow her. And I find her intriguing, and I think I need to just like, let me just. I need someone who's willing to be back here a little bit. The Travis Kelsey, who's like, yeah, that's my girl. Go. She's an athlete of life.
of life. Right.
Of life, okay? Because he literally is like, she's an athlete. Don't you see? She's an athlete. I need someone to be like, athlete of life. Lived life. But all right, hon. Off to work we go, I guess.
Yeah, it's been kind of like a nice way to start my Friday of like, oh, like I'm gonna take a nice relaxing shower and make sure and wash my hair actually. And it's a Friday and luckily my work has flexibility. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go in these dark moments of life, and in this crazy time we live in, where I almost am triggered on the daily, like deeply by things that are happening, and I really am trying to like protect myself first and foremost. But one thing I am very, very happy and lucky to be is that in those moments when my job is creating wonder for children and for families, and I'm very thankful that that's the space I'm in right now as we're navigating these literally insane times we live in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. off to create the wonder. And if you're like, what's the wonder? Go follow the wonder on Instagram and TikTok. And
Yeah,
if you live
or
in New York
Instagram.
City or Connecticut, go
Yeah,
check it out.
we're definitely more of like an elder millennial company, so we're definitely more Instagram. Our TikTok, I like can't wait till I can hire like the Gen Z person who it's like your job is to handle TikTok and create like that TikTok content.
Yes.
But yeah, we've we've come out on the other side of the last 5 years, and yeah, and I'm just happy to be here and be here with you. And though we are states apart, you know,
It's apart. GW traffic.
I don't even take the GW anymore. Ever. I always,
Yeah.
so what I always do, I put in Montclair State as a destination because if I do that, it will always take me over the Tappan Zee Cuomo bridge,
Okay.
which adds on maybe 10 minutes, but it avoids the GWB, which is hell on earth.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Also, if I put Montclair State in as a destination to come visit you, I'm stopping at the Red Hawk Diner.
For some soup that literally is just salt, just salt.
Just salt. Yeah. All right. Well, hon, I love you. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode, and I'll like talk to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, here's to many more.
To many more.
I feel like
Love ya.
smashing my cup against the phone like
Yeah.
Rock Herder does.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.